Okay, just doing a very quick audio check. We've got about a minute left on the timer, and then we'll be starting the live stream. I'll be back with you in a sec, just see how terrible the audio sounds. See you in a minute, guys. Okay, and I am back. Got a few people in, I see, watching, so anyone want to say hi in the live chat? Let me know you're watching, that'd be great. This live stream, I've been trying to do them regularly on a Sunday evening now, just to get a bit of consistency. This one I haven't been massively prepared for. Normally every other week I'll do a quiz night. Unable to do that this evening, although I do have a few trivia questions if anyone's really desperate for one. I did last week, I did a open lines where I opened up the lines for anyone who wanted to join in. Part of the condition was I did a picture, and if anyone could identify it they could bring in. No one got it, so I've still got that picture up if anyone wants to. That picture is yet to be solved. That could be the yeah, that's about as good a quiz night as I'm going to do tonight. Do have a couple of things to look at. Another thing we did last week was it was the 21st of the 3rd, one day before 223 on the calendar. Very poignant date, you could say, in terms of events that have taken place. I believe a couple of things did happen. There's one particular thing that happened in the world of mainstream media, so we could look at that, see what see if anything comes out. There's also been a few protests going on. A couple of them quite near to me, Bristol. Can't say I went anywhere near the place or took part, but there is some footage there which I think is worth looking at. So yeah, I guess this evening's live stream would be, the first one I ever did was called Inspecting the Footage, and yeah, that's kind of what my live streams used to be, pretty much, me just inspecting the footage. And I guess I'm going back to basics with this one. No calling, no quizzes, although I will get back to that at some point. In fact, while I'm waiting maybe for an audience to turn up, or someone to say hi in the live chat, I guess I do have a video going right back to the first ever live stream I did, where I looked at the events that took place on, I think it was, I can't guess the date exactly, but it was Westminster Bridge. Like I say, I do have that footage, and I would be happy to share it. If anyone wanted to watch it, it was me just breaking down, what happened on Westminster Bridge all those back in 2017, I believe it was. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I see Old Breck is in the chat. You think Matt Lucas is playing the role of Boris Johnson? That's a really interesting one, actually. I hadn't thought of that one. Old Breck, thanks for the suggestion. Certainly someone we could look at in the live chat and see. Certainly someone we could have a look at. I do find it interesting if you had said to someone like back in 2010 maybe, Boris Johnson will be Prime Minister of England and Donald Trump would have been President of the United States, I think they would have laughed at you. What a complete joke. But yeah, thanks for the suggestion, Albrecht. I don't recognise your name unless you're a new subscriber or a new viewer. We'll certainly have a look at that one though. Bear with me. What else have we got? Yeah, one thing I will start with though, I want to have a look at a newspaper article. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with the term reification. It is something, well, we'll look up the definition actually and see if this article, and I'll show you what I mean. Bear with me, or I'll share my screen in a second. And yeah, Obrecht, thanks for the suggestion. We will have a look at Matt Lucas and see how he compares to Boris. Not, like I say, it's not one I have ever really considered before, but I wouldn't rule anything out in this world, that's for sure. Tell you, his voice reminds me very much of Boris Johnson's voice reminds me a lot of Prince William. I don't know why they just both sound the same. Okay. Right, a reification. It is to make something abstract, as in imaginative, more concrete or real. And the particular story I wanted to look at, is this the correct one? Yes, COVID-19 blamed as next profits halved. Now this story is typical of what I would say a reification. Next is tipped to blame, see if they squeeze any of their numbers in, by the way. Next is tipped to blame the coronavirus pandemic for its pre-tax profits more than halving to 347.1 million when it presents its annual results to the city on Thursday. Although Next online and catalogue sales have partially offset the effects lockdown and social distancing have had on its store sales, group revenues are forecast to be down 17.1% to 36 billion. As a result, pre-tax profits are believed to have fallen to 53.6%. The High Street stalwart canned its dividend last year due to the pandemic, but given its financial strength and robust performance, and here we are again. Over the last decade, it has paid out 2.1 billion in dividends and 2.2, there's our numbers again, in share buybacks. Now, how is this what I consider a reification? Basically, Next blaming COVID-19 for their profit slumps. There's companies, shops all around the country and all around the world blaming the pandemic for them going out of business, for example. But to be honest, it's not as if all their customers got ill and none of them could come to the shop while we had to close down because all of our customers were sick. Well, no, that didn't happen, did it? It was the ridiculous rules and restrictions. Oh, I've lost the page now. I'm not sure how we got onto this. So yeah, a company like Next, blaming the lockdown, blaming the actual virus for their company going under. Right, Matt Lucas and Boris Johnson. Have we ever seen them together? This is just to answer Obrecht. Yeah, now you mention it, he does have a striking resemblance. Matt Lucas parodies Boris Johnson in the Bake Off intro. I really don't want to get struck with copyright, but is it worth having a look? He seems to impersonate Boris Johnson a fair bit. Is there any pictures of them meeting each other? can see where you're coming from. Always worth looking at heights and dates. Brett, Matt Lucas's alleged deceased partner looks a lot like Boris's new partner, Carrie Simmons. I thought Matt Lucas was, I'm pretty certain, with another man, is he not? Which isn't to say he wouldn't look like Carrie Simmons, of course, but apparently, I don't know if you've heard, I'm sure I saw a headline earlier about Boris Johnson having a 4-year affair with someone. Okay, Matt Lucas. We'll check this out. Thanks for the suggestion, O'Brien. Like I said, I'm a little unprepared for tonight's live stream. I do have a few things I want to look at. But yeah, I'm always happy to look at things like this. Matt Lucas partner. Wow, I see what you mean. I'm assuming this is the guy, Richard. Is that the one? And then we'll get a picture of Carrie Simmons up. Images. Ooh. Did I get the name right? Hello, Alice Wild. Hi, welcome to the live stream. Thanks for stopping in and saying alright. I misspelt Carrie Simmons. If you are just joining us, we are just comparing Matt Lucas's partner, Carrie, someone whose name I'm not actually familiar with. Certainly looks very effeminate. Be good to know their name. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Oh, that's the wrong one. The Bake Off presenter paid a love and tribute to him in 2019. Yeah, that's Yeah, I wouldn't say they're dead ringers. Talking about dead ringers, actually, we will be looking at something in a minute. It's definitely interesting. Anyone watching, you'll have to share your thoughts on that one. This guy. Let's see if I can find that story about Boris and his 4-year affair. Just to see what the... Bear with me. Boris Johnson affair. Okay. Boris Johnson love affair from 2 ex-wives. What, who is this? Jennifer Arcuri today admitted she had a 4-year affair with Boris Johnson after falling in love with him, and admitted they met once a week at the height. I mean, when they say affair, which one of them was in a relationship? The businesswoman, 21 years younger, was allowed access to events at 3 top-level trade missions, despite her businesses not meeting the criteria. The Prime Minister is currently being probed by the Greater London Authority over a possible code of conduct breach, and although extramarital affairs would have destroyed the reputation of many, Johnsons have done little to deter voters or Conservative members. When Johnson became the first PM to move into number 10 with a girlfriend, eyelids were barely batted. Despite Tory PR guru and mother to a baby son Wilfred, Carrie Simmons, 33, being 23 years his junior. They like their numbers, don't they? Wonder what the age difference was between Matt Lucas and his partner. Let's see if I can find that. This is Kevin John McGee, who died 10 years ago today. There certainly seems to be a bit of an age difference in them. Yeah, well, hello Random Games. Hi, welcome to the live stream. Thanks for stopping by. Random Games, I left you a message on Twitter actually. If you want to read it, you guys have to let me know what you think about this. Carrie Simmons and Carrie Simmons and Matt Lucas's ex-partner. Do they share a resemblance? Oops, what happened there? I wouldn't rule it out, that's something I'd say. Unfortunately, I don't know if there would be enough information I could easily find on this guy. Yeah, well, Alice Wilde, both Matt and Carrie are Jewish. Matt's boyfriend is probably Jewish too, hence why he resembles Carrie. They're probably the same subtype. Possibly, who knows. But yeah, I think originally, Breck, who left the comment, was saying that Boris and Matt Lucas looked very similar. Let's have a look at their height and date of birth, etc. There's usually a couple of years in it. Matt Lucas is 5'7", born in 1974. Meanwhile, Boris Johnson is, let's see, not that they necessarily speak the truth when they give you these little stories about how tall he is. He was born in 1964, so he's supposed to be 11 years older than Matt Lucas. I will say I thought Matt Lucas was a lot older than 73. That would make him about 46 or so. I did think he was older than that. Boris Johnson, height. "5'9", so he's near enough. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion, O'Breck. Speaking of lookalikes, I did have someone leave a comment on one of my videos about, do we remember, what was his name? Steve Irwin. I don't know if anyone has any recollection of that guy. But his daughter recently gave birth. Let's see if anyone else sees what I see. She is called Bindi Irwin. Where did I read it? I'll go to news. Random Games. Hi Bobby, I hope you can share with your subscribers the video from scientist Dr. Simone Gold. What she has to say about the vax. Absolutely, Random Games. I'm happy to share that video. No reason why we couldn't play it shortly. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that with me. It's certainly good information. I do always play out. I finish my live stream with a video, so I did have one planned actually, but I certainly could play out with that one because there is some really interesting stuff in that. So yeah, if I don't play it before the end of the live stream, which will probably be about, I'll probably end up finishing about 10:30 to 11 p.m. British summertime, as we right now are, then I'll play it at the end. Right, let's remove this. See if we can get rid of the advert before we read the story. Nope, my computer always goes really slow if I'm doing a live stream. Right. Has that done anything? Nope. Delete elements. Goodness me, they don't want people getting rid of their adverts. Wow, okay, maybe now. I'm just left with an empty box. Okay. Okay, unfortunately not. Maria Ellender, hello, thank you for joining and saying hello in the chat. You say it's all kicking off with Brian Harvey and Alex Balefield. Very weird. Alex Balefield, I did see something that, what's the guy's name? Piers Morgan had supposedly ripped into it. I didn't look into it. And as for Brian Harvey, since I believe he's got a YouTube channel, is he now supposed to be? I didn't really know much about Brian Harvey. Maria, if you've got any extra information that you want to share on that, it'd be appreciated. So yeah, by the way, I know Alex Balefield. I know he's got his channel, but I've never come across much from Brian Harvey. Right, celebrating the... I would really love to get rid of this box. Sorry, I will be carrying on with this shortly. But how to get rid of it? Delete element, surely. Nope. Why not get rid of it? Oh well. Never mind. Okay, what we were gonna look at. Maybe it would have just been easier to do this. Alice Wild, hate DST, wish they'd end it. Alice, unfortunately, what's going on here? DST isn't something that's not able to decipher that at this minute. Right, celebrating the two loves of my life. Bindi Irwin, 22, and husband Chandler Powell, 24, welcome a baby daughter, and her name is a touching tribute to her late father. Right, Bindi, which is the son of Steve Irwin, who, Bindi's the daughter, this one, on the, as we look at her right, this is meant to be her partner, but he has a striking resemblance to Steve Irwin. But this baby, I'm just wondering if anyone else can spot something, whether it looks familiar in any way. Otherwise, I'll share where I believe I've seen it before. Yeah, DST. Alice, my apologies. I'm sure it's blatantly obvious what it means, but yeah, you might have to be a bit more specific on that one. Right, we can look at Bindi Irwin's Instagram account. Of course, they've got every picture you've got of her, she has to be holding the bump. We wouldn't want it falling off now, would we? And she is holding it. You've got a picture of the dad-to-be kissing the bump, and again, just looks like a silicone rubber stomach to me. There again, holding the bump. Can't let it go because it might fall off, of course. Here we are. Maria Ellender, both were arrested live on YouTube and are now both live streaming. Interesting. Brian Harvey, E17, yeah, I do remember him, but I didn't really know, I don't know much about him on YouTube. I'm not sure what sort of videos he does. The only thing I've recently heard about Brian Harvey is that He made a video once, right? There's a YouTuber I'm quite a big fan of called Reboot the Matrix, and apparently he made a video about Brian Harvey trying to discredit a fellow YouTuber by making a very by referring to him in a very offensive way, and it didn't exactly leave me with a lot of respect for Brian Harvey. But they were both arrested live on YouTube. Do we know, Maria? Well done. If we were doing a quiz tonight, Maria, you would have won it. Can we tell which is which? This picture on the bottom is Darren the doll, as seen on the Realborn website. This picture is Harry and Meghan presenting baby Archie, and this picture is Bindi Irwin presenting their new child, Warrior or Grace or something. And for me, right down to the hat, it's just such a striking resemblance. Maria, I'm glad someone else saw that, because yeah, it's, as always, the picture quality is really poor. They never give a very good Instagram isn't known for its picture quality, of course, but another thing they put was this, and I remember when I was researching Realborn dolls, whenever they send you your doll, they do give you like a card, something like this. I'm going to have a look. Realborn doll Darren, was that? There's probably plenty of them called Darren, but 17.5 inches tall. Just bear that in mind, okay? 20 inches tall, okay. Right, that's eBay. I thought there was an actual website where you could look at Realborn Darren. Yeah, they're all on eBay, unfortunately. I thought there was a... Here he is. Born Beautiful. Bountiful. Maybe this is it. Out of stock. This is one of the many pictures that we see of Darren. And this is their baby, yeah. $60 apparently. Must be a pretty popular one. Yeah, I seem to remember they give you some sort of certificate, which probably, if you wanted, wouldn't look too dissimilar to this. I'm not sure. It's yeah. Alice Wild, daylight saving time. Oh, gotcha. Sorry, Alice. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. BST, British summertime. I would have thought of it as. It's It does throw you out. It has thrown me out a little bit. That extra hour, I probably would have been able to fire up a quiz night, but unfortunately not. Although I still have a picture that I revealed last week that no one managed to guess what it was. Although the part of the condition was right, random games. I do not want to put you out, but is it possible? Great, thanks, Bobby. The people should know what the science is saying. Absolutely not a problem. Random games. I'm happy to share that information. I also saw another video. It wasn't on YouTube, obviously, and it was by someone from. It was again doctors. It was doctors from all across the world talking about how. Well, they were talking about the same sort of thing as the video will show you towards the end of the evening. So yeah, I haven't got a problem. I'm more than happy to share that. Right, I'm going to shut down some of my tabs because my computer's starting to cook. I think you could fry an egg on it. Yeah, so I'm glad I wasn't the only one that noticed the similarity between this and Bindi's baby. Although apparently there is another picture of it smiling or something. Maybe that was on the website. I don't know. And I couldn't find the picture when I was looking for it. What's this video about? Probably just an advert. Yeah, here, again, that picture looked freakishly like the baby. I couldn't, but, what's the guy's name? Ashley Kane and his baby that's terminally ill, or ill, not terminally ill, but apparently got leukemia. I couldn't find the picture, but if I had, I would have shared it. I think they're just recycling all the same dolls. Who knows? Right, Brian Harvey. I would be curious to see Alex Balefield's arrest. So yeah, let's have a look. I don't want to get copyright struck, but personally, I know a lot of people probably do like this guy. For me, I would say his videos, I mean, I guess he's sharing his opinions, but do you think this guy's got the guts to say the Vaseline will kill you? Who knows? He might talk about how it's unfair people being forced to do it, to take it, but I don't think he would ever describe it as experimental gene therapy. And Brian Harvey's the other one. I don't want to go on his YouTube channel, but I mean, I don't want to open one of his videos. I want to see him get arrested though. That would be quite interesting. A message to the Chief Constable of Nottingham. Prisoners rebranded. Okay, I will have to take your word for that because I am not watching it. Unless you're saying he's just been Alice Wilde, yeah, they do indeed love their dolls. Steve Irwin, I wouldn't be at all surprised if he was one of those Masons. So, are you saying this Alex Balefield's been arrested tonight as he's going live, or what about Brian Harvey? Let's have a look at him. Brian Harvey. Yeah, I don't know about Brian Harvey, but Alex Balefield, I would certainly say, is probably one of those people that they're safety nets for people that see through BHTV. I'm guessing this is his video, his channel. Oops, don't want to start anything now. Time for some more proof. There is a price on my head right now. Ghislaine, okay. I wonder if Brian Harvey had the guts to suggest that Prince Andrew and the other one, Brian Epstein, could have a lot in common. Okay, curious. Yeah, again, Brian Harvey and Alex Balefield, not channels I watch myself, but if you find them entertaining, then fair enough. I wonder what he got. Do we know why he got arrested? Alex is a shill. He dare not speak about Vaseline. Maria, I completely agree. I mean, well, to be honest, I don't know what he speaks about, but when I know he presents Rona as being as presented in the mainstream media. Okay, well, thanks for sharing that info. Yeah, sounds interesting. Right, another thing I wanted to look at. Yeah, this was one of the videos I was gonna. Hang on, bear with me. I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen for 1 minute. I will be back again in a minute. And yeah, I had a video. Let's see how long it is. I was going to look at some of the footage of 7 minutes it goes on for. I was going to look at some of the footage from the protests recently. They're one of the basically this over on 153 News. 2N Lit. Hello, welcome to the stream. BHTV2. Alright, I might have a quick look at that before I go on to what I... BHTV2. Alex Belfield blocked me 19 minutes ago. Oh. The truth at last, Daniela Westbrook. Oh. Okay, do you know what? If I watch any of those videos, I'm going to watch them. For Alex Belfield, the entrapment of Brian Harvey. I'm curious to see it, but I don't want to get a strike. Were they having some a rapper feud or something? A bit of beef, as it were. Right. Yeah, Alex Wild, I totally agree with you on Alex. Okay, I'm going to quickly show a video. I'm going to put myself on mute. Following this video, which is by a channel on 153 News, Jeffersonian Girl. In fact, we can... Yeah, she shares some great stuff in that. Let's see. I'll bring up her channel a minute. And so long as some of the audio doesn't get me a copyright strike, I think we'll be alright. I'm going to put a link to this person's channel in the live chat. I'll just bring my screen back up again. Okay, right, the video we're going to watch is Something Wong in San Francisco, okay? If you want to check this person out for yourself, you should. I'll put it in the... Right, what the video she makes points out something about colour codes, and we're going to have a look at how that fits in a minute. Okay, right. Let me just add it to the thing. 1 second. I hope everyone's alright. Just I've had a bit of drama myself here. Nothing like police arresting us, but one of our cats has been very unwell. Well, I say very unwell. It's completely gone off its food. Now, the obvious thing would be to say take it to a vet, of course. Unfortunately, this was a cat that one day just turned up on our doorstep. We had no idea where it came from, demanding we feed it. So, well, I say demanding we fed it, it just started eating the food that we put down for our own cats. Right. Oh. Okay. Yeah, and unfortunately, this poor cat has now suddenly stopped eating. We think it might have something stuck in its throat, but we can't take it to a vet because we don't. Well, we could take it to a vet, but if it's chipped, then then of course they're not going to do any treatment. So yeah, anyone ever opened the mouth of a cat to look inside? It's something I'm kind of tempted to do. Right, I'm going to mute myself now. I'm going to watch this video, and then at the end I'll come back and we'll look at the footage taken at some of the protests that went on in Bradford and Bristol. Okay guys, I'll be back in a minute. Enjoy this vid.
San Francisco police are stepping up high visibility patrols, hoping to restore a sense of security for the elderly Asian American community after a series of attacks. And tonight, family members of one 76-year-old victim say she is traumatized.
One of our black guys is bleeding unstoppably.
But I still cannot see anything right now.
Xiao Zhenshei's family took this picture of her at home tonight. A day after being attacked on Market Street, her daughter and grandson say the 76-year-old can't see out of her right eye.
She is still suffering some pretty serious trauma.
Police say 39-year-old Stephen Jenkins assaulted Zhenshei and 83-year-old Nok Pham. Jenkins is in jail. According to a GoFundMe post, Pham is in the hospital with a fractured nose and possible neck fractures. Zhenshei's family says elders aren't safe.
The people always hit the older people, and why? That one always hit the eye. You see, all the senior people is hurt around the eye. I don't understand.
These times is not good for a normal walk on the street, especially for like Asian elders, you know. Been targeted a lot.
Specialized units that can...
At tonight's Central District Police Station virtual community meeting, the captain assured uneasy residents the department is stepping up high visibility patrols.
So you'll see the dirt bikes and the big bikes, we call it, out there patrolling and helping us out. You might even see some of the members of the SWAT team out there walking around once in a while when they're not busy.
In the meantime, people are showing their support for the Asian American community by donating to GoFundMe pages for both victims, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. Jean Ellie, NBC Bay Area News.
Watch out for the snakes. Watch out for the snakes. Yeah, watch out for the... I seen all the signs. I seen all the signs.
Đừng có hùi là, đừng có hùi là. Này là đây đâu nè. Cái hồng á, có ta. Bằng khẩu cháu đâu mà mình phóng chết rồi. Cái hồng nhưng mà nó không có ăn của chúng ta. Cái bông đây à. Cái ăn của. Cái ăn của bông đây à. Có đâu phải bằng đâu khui con trâu đâu. Cho giá chui bằng rồi đó.
They've been telling lies. They've been telling lies. Watching how I move, watching how I move. I've been keeping track now. Watch out for the snakes.
Đừng có hùi là, đừng có hùi là. Này là đây đâu nè. Cái hồng á, có ta. Bằng khẩu cháu đâu mà mình phóng chết rồi. Cái hồng nhưng mà nó không có ăn của chúng ta. Cái bông đây à. Cái ăn của. Cái ăn của bông đây à. Có đâu phải bằng đâu khui con trâu đâu. Cho giá chui bằng rồi đó.
Watch out for the snakes. Copying what I do every time. They wanna take what's mine. They busy faking and telling me lies. Now I watch out for the snakes. Watch out for the snakes, yeah. Watch out for the snakes. Watch out for the snakes, yeah. Watch out for the copying what I do every time. They wanna take what's mine. They busy faking and telling me lies. Now I watch out for the snakes.
I'm Ken Bastida. Wilson Walker has the video that you'll see only on KPIX5.
Just after 10 o'clock this morning, Market and 7th Streets coming upon the scene during his morning run. KPIX Sports Director Dennis O'Donnell.
Coming upon the scene during his morning run, KPIX Sports Director Dennis O'Donnell.
You serious?
You've been so focused on me, damn, I think you forgot about you. Feel like the goat, I'm surrounded by sheep. Damn, you've been busy watching me move, paying no mind, staying online. If you've been wondering, I'm doing fine. Made 150 in
She's talking about I don't know him. Why he attacked me?
Immediately, her instincts kicked in to defend herself. While she suffered injuries and required medical attention, it was her attacker that ended up on the stretcher.
By the stay for around the area and fight back.
Xiao Shenxie's daughter says her mother cannot see at all out of her left eye and hasn't been able to eat. The hope is time will heal the physical and emotional wounds, but this incident is one that has scarred her for life.
As you can see, she is extremely terrified. She's terrified to even step out.
But this incident is one that has scarred her for life.
As you can see, she is extremely terrified. She's terrified to even step out.
But this incident is one that has scarred her for life.
As you can see, she is extremely terrified. She's terrified to even step out.
what's mine. They busy faking and telling me lies. Now I watch out for the snakes. Watch out for the snakes, yeah. Watch out for the snakes. Watch out for the snakes, yeah. Watch out for the copying what I do every time. They wanna take what's mine. They busy faking and telling me lies. Now I watch out for the snakes. You've been so focused on me, damn. I think you forgot about you. Feel like the goat, I'm surrounded by sheep. Damn, you've been busy watching me move, paying no mind, staying online. If you've been wondering, I'm doing fine. Made 150 in a year, I'm only 22, so don't pay me your time. Back with a track and I've been moving up. I'm a bachelor, but you know I've been getting love. And I'm back, I'm a rap when my life getting tough. I'm a master of the craft and I never give it up. I put in time, I earned a shine, I worked it out. I made it mine and fell in line, and I came a long way now.
Okay, that was the video. Now, I'm a big fan of that channel on 153 News, Jeffersonian Girl. I have left the link in the description. In the live chat. Definitely worth checking out. But what particularly interested me was the... Hang on, let me see. Was as... Who was it suggested it? Maria Ellender said the crisis actors often wear colour-coded clothes, usually red in the anti-lockdown protest. Exactly. Meanwhile, everyone else is wearing black. That was exactly it. I mean, the story that she was covering in that particular video was of interest. I just it was more about the colour coding that I wanted us to look at. So with that in mind, we're going to have a look at some of these lockdown protests. Did have a couple of comments while that was on. Firstly, thanks to Alice Wild for making some suggestions for the cat that we've got with us. Not eating and drinking anything at the minute. You suggested some drops of raw apple cider vinegar. And a bit of diatomaceous earth mixed in with its food every day. Unfortunately, it's not eating at the moment, which is strange because it went from eating us out of house and home nearly, trying to eat our actual cat's food, to now not wanting to touch anything. Yeah, and hopefully it'll be back on its food soon though. Right, we're going to look at who else was it? O'Breck said, what do we think of the Everard story? Sarah Everard. Certainly, there was certainly an agenda behind that one. Personally, I question any story that gets this sort of coverage. In fact, it might be worth looking at the Sarah Everard vigil footage. I'll share my screen again. Sarah Everard vigil. Let's see if we see any of the things that we witnessed. Here we are. Here's something from Sky News. I will turn the volume down. Not interested in this. It's where the police start going crackers. See if there's any evidence of the same colour coding going on. So to answer your question, O'Breck, I would say they use the Sarah Everard story to basically bash men. One thing about this picture, whenever you get, of course this was the police that were supposedly behaving badly rather than the actual people at the vigil. But yeah, so many black clothes and then the odd red hat. Strange coincidence how many people turned up in just either black, white or red. Now of course, no doubt 99% of the people that went to the vigil were legitimate mourners or people wanting to pay their respects with someone they believed had passed on. But yeah, that whole story, very suspicious. Hang on 1 second. The amount of coverage it got just for one missing person. I mean, how many people go missing every week, every day, and how many people get this sort of coverage that Sarah got? Very few. How many? And then whenever a person does sadly die, do they really report it all on the news, giving out all the details, the suspects, naming and revealing their picture, basically messing up any possible trial that, meaning that the accused would not have a fair trial. It's crazy. But yeah, it's right. By the way, hello to Michelle from Oz. Thank you for joining us. Everard, Evergreen. Right, Maria Ellender. Off the subject a little, but I'm hearing first-hand accounts of people who are having psychotic-type reactions after the Vaseline. I've not heard that myself. Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I've heard some. I've heard some stories of people having quite bad reactions to it. Like I said, there's maybe one person, although I did hear about someone else recently. There's maybe a few people who I know who recently died or got ill not long after. Only one of them I know definitely had the Vaseline, applied Vaseline to their cracked lips. Right, O'Breck, 33-year-old goes missing on the 3rd of the 3rd, leaving 303 days of the year. Makes you think. Absolutely. They always give themselves away with the numbers. Alice Wild, they want us to hate the police. You're absolutely correct. And also men, the hatred for men came out of that story as well. Look at that. Whoever the police held that woman down just in time for the cameras. great photo opportunities. Okay, that's enough from that one. Right, Bradford protests. Apparently it got violent over there. Police struggle to control the crowds. Yeah, I was watching a few people were live streaming from the protest. One thing I did see was that the police kept doing these lines. I'm not sure if this is almost like they want people sectioned off. Maybe because let's see. Police struggle to control crowds. I was looking for the actual disturbing scenes as child begs father to stop. Manchester. Okay. Dozens arrested in city after police clash with anti-lockdown. Let's see what happens here. Remember, we're looking for lots of black and white outfits, and then the odd red t-shirt here and there. I'll try and mute it. CC Jelly, colour-coded hair. Maria Ellender, too many 3s and 6s in that Everard story, definitely. Right, can we skip this rubbish? So we've got to watch a 30-second advert, of course. Vile people. Where's the news?
Carried out by thugs.
Right, here we are. From all the footage I saw, I think this is actually Bristol. It's all nice and peaceful until you see riot police, and that's when everyone appears to be violent.
Scenes in Bristol on Friday night were described by the Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
As you can see, I think these riot police are actually sectioning off.
The PM tweeted, "Last night saw disgraceful attacks against police officers in Bristol. Our officers should not have to face having bricks, bottles and fireworks being thrown at them by a mob intent on violence and causing damage to property. The police and the city have my full support."
There we are. Right, so everyone wearing pretty dark clothes at the minute. You see all these police vans, a whole line of police in riot gear sectioning everyone off. And what you see here is maybe 10, 20 people.
The clashes came during the third protest
Are we going to see anyone in red?
in the city against the police and crime bill in less than a week.
The officers were being subjected to increasing intensity of violence, with glass bottles being thrown, a laser pen being shone at officers in the eyes, a laser pen being shone at a helicopter that was above, causing significant risk, and we can't stand and tolerate that. We need to act to protect the officers and maintain order in the city.
10 people were arrested, 3 linked to Sunday's clashes at Bridewell police station.
The violent scenes in Bristol over the last week make for difficult viewing for police. On one hand, they say that reasonable force is
people shining laser pens.
Simply refuse to leave. On the other, images of clashes between officers and the public do nothing to ease tensions.
That's Bath, I recognise that place.
12 miles away in Bath, the anger had spread.
Describe the scene as disgraceful.
Well, he would say that, wouldn't he?
I didn't know they were doing a walk in Bath.
The violent element is not helpful to anybody.
The violence isn't helpful for peaceful protests like this?
It's not, no. And I'm all for peaceful protest.
Saturday also saw protests in Manchester, where people gathered under the image of George Floyd.
Hey, there's George Floyd, like they mentioned. George Floyd showed up in that picture, in that story, with the Asian lady getting attacked.
Brixton protesters said the Prime Minister had misjudged the mood of the country.
people don't want to go to violence as the first answer. That's what they're trying to make it out as. When you have a bill sort of designed to kill that peaceful protest, it feels almost like a natural escalation.
Some of the violence was not what the protest was about. They completely missed the meaning about the unrest.
I believe it's what they call agent provocateurs that cause all the trouble.
A system that is meant to be there to protect us.
Or crisis acting, of course.
These protests are currently illegal due to COVID restrictions, but that's not stopping people taking to the streets to voice their concerns. Policing protests about the very right to protest is proving difficult. Dan Whitehead, Sky News in Bristol.
Oh. Well, that didn't show us much, unfortunately. Bit of a waste of time watching that one. What else have we got? Is it this one? No. Okay, as it happened.
Bristol was shaken.
Okay, Bristol's Kill the Bill protest went from peaceful demonstration to unrest. Let's see. We didn't actually. Yeah, let's see what shows up here.
On Sunday, when what began as a day of peaceful protests ended in a night of violent and riotous behaviour. Approximately 4,000 protesters gathered on.
In the chat, actually, Maria said apparently the police vehicles were due to be scrapped and no police suffered any injuries. Yeah, I did hear something along those lines. They were all out of use vehicles or something. Pretty Patel is a serious annoyance. I like some of these. Signs that people have got.
College Green from 2 p.m. to demonstrate in opposition to the government's proposed new police and crime bill. The bill passed its second reading in the House of Commons on the 16th of March, and the Kill the Bill protests
yeah, 99% of the people here are probably legitimate,
particularly in reference to stringent protest
but
laws.
once you see the unrest,
I think protesting is a democratic right that we all deserve to be able to do.
That is when,
in my opinion, it's
that is when
and it's criminal that they are trying
the actors come in, I think.
protest punishable by 10 years in prison.
Yeah, Alice Wilde, yeah, shining lasers at helicopters.
Like, rape or sexual assault, considering all the things
comes to something, eh?
I think it's outrageous.
After rallying together and chanting in unison on College Green, the protesters then moved from College Green and started their march through the city centre towards Broadmead.
Still peaceful.
The right to protest should be included in any democratic society. If something's wrong, we should be able to make our voices heard about that. The sentence for damaging a statue has gone up to 10 years, which is less than that rate, which is pretty disgusting. They're sneakily putting in changing
Maria says John Overkill's channel exposes a lot of the crisis actors. I'm not familiar with his channel.
Just because they do not own that land, and that's a direct attack on Gypsy Roman travelling.
But thanks for suggesting it. I'm waiting to see the footage of all the disturbances. This is as it happened, so.
At around 3:30, the protest reached its peak when
3:30, there we are with the numbers.
Protesters paused at Hippodrome Square, with some leading chants from on top of a bus stop. It did not seem that there was a pre-planned route for the protest, and throughout the afternoon, the marching protesters separated into smaller groups, dispersing into different parts of the city centre.
Smaller groups, is that ideal, maybe?
At one point, the protest separated into two main groups, one congregating around Castle Park, whilst another group went to stage a sit-in outside of Bridewell Police Station.
At this point in the day, tensions were growing significantly. Confrontations between protesters and the police were increasing, with some protesters becoming more aggressive with officers. Riot police and police on horses attended to the scene, with some riot police seen using batons and riot shields to push back on the crowd. At a later point in the day, police dogs were also brought in.
Yeah, here you can see, I mean, I'm not sure how many people are behind this row of white police, but they're all sectioned off quite well. I think these protesters are trying to tame the dogs, get them on side by giving them pizza. Again, pizza. Right, lots of black and white. And we finally see a guy in red. Now, we have seen people in red, but they all could be coincidence. Is this guy in red one of the handlers, as they would say?
As it drew into the evening, events escalated further, and there was a noticeable change in the atmosphere as violence grew. Fireworks were let off into the crowd, and Bristol Police Station was targeted with graffiti. The shift to a more riotous tone saw people damaging the outside of the building and pelting the windows with objects such as glass bottles. Some people...
There we go. Is a huge amount of people wearing pretty much just black, and then the one odd person wearing red. And I think quite often these people in red seem to be taking photographs.
Turn their attention to targeting a parked police van, which was broken into and then set alight. On the ground, people could be seen carrying large bottles of water to tend to those who reported sustaining injuries from the effects of pepper spray, amongst other injuries. Further police crews were deployed to the scene when crowds did not disperse. Avon and Somerset Police stated that they had requested mutual aid from neighbouring forces in order to bring the incident to a conclusion.
Following the events on Sunday evening, Avon and Somerset Police confirmed that 20 police officers had sustained injuries, 2 serious. Amongst politicians who have condemned the scenes witnessed in Bristol, Bristol Mayor Marvin Rees has described the events as a shameful day in an incredible year for Bristol. Home Secretary Priti Patel has meanwhile asserted that the scenes in Bristol were unacceptable, stating that thuggery and disorder would never be tolerated.
Peaceful there. I would like to think that the masses are finally saying, "I've had enough of these strict rules," and in a way, a lot of people are, like, coming out to these protests. But it's just a shame that a lot of evidence would suggest that even these protests are kind of controlled in a way. Right. Maria Ellender, it's all theatre and designed to discredit protests. Of course it is. Crazy Hippo Lady, hi, thanks for joining. Yeah, there was something very mechanical about that one. I was actually looking for Bradford protests. I'm not sure how they ended up on Bristol. Let's see. Perhaps it'd help if I could spell lockdown. Bradford protest. Police struggle to control the crowds. Okay, we'll have another look. This is the Daily Mail, of course. Actually, in that last shot seemed to be more police than protesters. Right, I'm not necessarily sure about these scenes. The fact the Daily Mail are covering it, who knows? But these are just ordinary dressed policemen. They haven't got their riot gear out yet. Alice says she's seen too many masks to feel good about it. True. See, this isn't really police struggling to control crowds, is it? Okay, now maybe. Oh, look at the horses with their little outfits on. Again, just people running, nothing overly exciting. Yeah, not that great. Who knows? Who knows if any of these are crisis actors or genuine folk. Right. I am going to start winding down my scuffles and arrests. Bradford anti-lockdown rally gets messy. Gonna watch that video. Random Games asked if we would sign out the cap. Asked if we would watch a video before we finish, and I don't see why not. Hopefully it won't get a strike on my channel. I mean, it is a medical professional sharing information, and it's important to get that stuff out there. And we'll have to find it though, that was the only thing. Right, we'll watch this 1 minute 10-second video of Bradford, and then I'm gonna start winding down. I wonder what's the difference between the police wearing yellow and the police wearing blue. It's the people in red here. Huh. Now, apparently, just one story I saw, people, now, bear in mind, everyone, we're kind of being sold the idea that if once you start applying Vaseline to your cracked lips, life can go back to normal. Here's a story in the Mirror. People in England warned to think carefully before seeing their granny. I really hope people aren't haven't gone all this time without seeing family members, particularly elderly ones. I know it's difficult if some of them are in homes and homes aren't letting people in to visit, but it sounds like now a Tory cabinet minister has warned people to think carefully before seeing their granny from tomorrow. Oliver Dowden said people should show restraint despite lockdown rules being relaxed to allow groups of 6 people or 2 households, whichever is bigger, to meet outside. The stay-at-home order is being dropped and most over 50s have now had their first dose of Vaseline. But apparently that doesn't make a blind bit of difference, because Mr. Dowden emphasised that people still cannot meet indoors and stay overnight, and warned people off excessive travel. We know that this disease thrives off of social interaction. Actually, no, it doesn't. It seems to thrive off of people taking tests, because without their tests they've got nothing. But and whilst we want people to go and visit Granny or participate in outdoor sports, we should think carefully about whether it's worth the cost in terms of having those unnecessary social interactions. Ridiculous. You could live the rest of your life going thinking that, couldn't you? Is it really worth me seeing someone because I might get ill or they might get ill? You cannot put your life on hold. Complete waste of time. Mr. Dowden said people could travel across the country but shouldn't make excessive travel beyond what you need to. He added, if you take repeated journeys, I don't know, for example, you decide to meet many different people, travel many distances, and that means you're stopping at service stations, you're having lots of social interaction. Tomorrow's changes are step 1. Tomorrow's changes are under step 1, part 2 of England's roadmap out of lockdown, and allow grassroots sports and outdoor pools to reopen. Step 2 will begin no earlier than April the 12th, and allow non-essential shops, hairdressers and outdoor areas of pubs and restaurants to open. Indoor areas of pubs, as well as many indoor socialising and overnight stays, will only be allowed in step 3 from May the 17th at the earliest. So, and then they say even if meeting friends and family, people are still advised to keep 1 or 2 metre distances and not touch. A review of social distancing is due by May the 17th. So they could say, you know what? Oh, hang on. Raising the prospect that people from different households and bubbles would be allowed to hug again for the first time in 14 months. What rubbish. You think I haven't hugged my mother in the last 14 months? Not a chance. But hey ho. Okay. Right, I am going to start finishing things in a minute. Maria says you saw another channel coverage of Bradford and recognised the crisis actor guy who attends all the London protests who lives at Clacton, Essex. Huh. I'm sure they do have their regular participants. I remember back in the World Cup, I think it was in Russia, the Football World Cup, and they had the riots, or there was a lot of crowd trouble. I think it was Russia anyway, and the press kept showing the same few people that were always causing the trouble. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Abhinath, hi, greetings, welcome to the chat. Yeah, we did see Bristol and Bradford. Right, before finishing, in fact, I'm going to just line up a video to play us out with. So bear with me a minute. Just have to find it. Of course, big thanks to everyone who has taken part in the live chat today. I will be back next week. It's scheduled to be open line, so if anyone wants to ring in next week, I say ring in, take part, come on as a guest, say hello. That is always appreciated. Ooh. Right. Bear with me a sec, I just have to... Okay. Right, people, I'm going to start winding down now.
So...
what we're going to watch is a video of a doctor showing some really good information. Misha from Oz says, all restrictions lifted here and you can now go dancing. Happy days, of course, over there in Australia. Let's hope it stays like that now. Michelle, have you had flu season yet in Australia, just out of interest? I know your winter's just coming into winter now, if I'm not mistaken. Also, how are the floods? I hope life's doing all okay over there for you. And again, I said it last week, but thanks for ringing in on my open lines episode. The lines will be open again next week. Right, as always, I'm going to scroll through the live chat and thank everyone who took part. My big apologies if I don't mention you. Hopefully I'm more likely to mention you twice. So, I would like to say a big thank you and good night to Maria Ellender, CC Jelly, Nisha from Oz, Adina, Crazy Hippo Lady, Alice Wild, 2N Lit, O'Breck, and I believe that's everyone. If anyone, Random Games, of course. If anyone is watching and wants to say hello or good night before we sign out, it's always appreciated. I do enjoy interacting with my audience, and as I said, open lines gives me that little bit more opportunity to say to interact with you guys. If anyone's got anything to share or just say hello or take part in the trivia question, next week is your night. Okay, so with that, I'm going to watch this video, which was shared to me by Random Games. It goes on for 12.5 minutes, well, just under 13 minutes. So once the video ends, I will end the live stream. And as I said, thanks to everyone who has taken part. Michelle from Oz, I'm glad to hear it stopped raining. Yeah, but thanks for the information on the flu shot. I was just curious whether it was what you called flu season over there, because I know here in England we have flu in about January time. But maybe that's something we could talk about next week. Yeah, thanks everyone who suggested things for us to look at. What was that guy? What was the... Let me see. O'Breck, he suggested looking at Matt Lucas. That may be something to check out in the future. And I will be back next Sunday, 9:30 British summertime. Hopefully my cat will be feeling better by then and back eating its food. Well, I say my cat, the cat that turned up on our doorstep one day. Horrible seeing, well, anyone unwell, of course. But yeah, it's taken up quite a bit of my day actually, so I wasn't able to organise the usual quiz night. But in the future we will be back. Right, I'm going to leave a link in the live chat to the original video. It appears to be on a channel which I'm not sure if that's Russian. It's certainly not English, but the video is in English, at least. Okay. Alright, I'm going to say goodnight. Thanks again, everyone, and I'll be back next week for another live chat. And before that, I might come up with some videos next week. We'll see. Alright, I'm muting my microphone and we're playing this video. Good night, everyone, and thanks for joining.
Let's talk about these, what I call, I think it's most properly called experimental biological agents. You might hear me use that phrase. Definitely you should not be calling this the COVID-19 vaccines. The reason is, whatever you call it, it's experimental. It's not been approved as a vaccine. It's currently in its investigational stage. It's been approved by, I don't want to misspeak, the FDA, I assume, is the one who would approve it, but it's in an investigational stage only. AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. That's very important legally. If you were to be injured by something and it's an experimental stage, it's adjudicated under a particular standard. So what are the potential problems with this experimental biological agent? The first, most obvious, is that this is brand new technology. The first two that are coming to market use something called mRNA technology, which has never ever been used before for vaccines. This is when you hear a lot of the more kind of concerning and flamboyant issues, it's because people are very worried that this is brand new mRNA technology. I don't really go down that path, but what I can say is I don't really want to be the first person to take brand new things when it comes to medicine, right? You don't have to be a genius to say that. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is there's been a tremendous failure of previous coronavirus vaccines. This is not well known, but there are multiple viruses out there. For example, in 2002, there was an epidemic, a much smaller one, but an epidemic of SARS-CoV-1. What we're in right now is SARS-CoV-2. SARS-CoV-1 and SARS-CoV-2, by the way, you may have heard it called the novel coronavirus, are what we're in right now. I never understood that because this coronavirus is 78% identical to SARS-CoV-1. In fact, that's why it has the name SARS-CoV-2. They're 78% the same. So prior coronavirus vaccine attempts have been made. They have failed. They can't do it safely in human beings. And I'm going to talk more about that later. But just note that we've not been able to successfully overcome the human bodily hurdles that making a vaccine against a coronavirus has put up. Number three, there is no independently published animal studies. One of the companies says they do have animal studies, but they haven't published any data on it. There's been a complete rush to put this to market, and you simply cannot do this safely without published data on animal studies, because animals often will die at the end, and unless we know that, we don't know if it's safe to give to humans. Okay, problem number four is known complications. One of the most commonly known complications of vaccines is something called, big science words coming up, guys, antibody-dependent enhancement. It's also sometimes called immune enhancement, and it's sometimes called pathogenic priming. What this is instead of really causing immunity, it causes a person to overreact in a negative way if they should ultimately be exposed to the virus. This thing called antibody-dependent enhancement or pathogenic priming, although you haven't heard of it, is well known to scientists. I like to say it has its own Wikipedia page. This is not fringe. This exists and this is real. The biggest problem with antibody-dependent enhancement, we see this with prior coronavirus vaccines. So when they were doing the studies with SARS-CoV-1 vaccine back in 2005, they came up with a vaccine and they gave it to the ferrets, and it was 2-dose like the ones today, and the ferrets did fine after the first dose, they did fine after the second dose. Later they exposed them to the coronavirus SARS-CoV-1 in the wild, and the ferrets died. That's why SARS-CoV-1 vaccine never came to market. Antibody-dependent enhancement. You can find all the information I'm discussing on americasfrontlinedoctors.com, vaccine information. Also, I'll get to at the end at the stopmedicaldiscrimination.org site. It has it there as well. Everything is well footnoted and referenced. So known complications include antibody-dependent enhancement and also some of the things you've seen in the news, like neurologic problems like transverse myelitis, Bell's palsy, Guillain-Barré, etc. Those are known complications with vaccines that already exist. There's also a lot of issues with unknown vaccinations. I think what's going wrong on the other side is a complete lack of respect for what you don't know. We don't know what we don't know until you discover it. I mean, these are the things parents teach their children. They don't know enough, right? So what are the potential unknowns? Well, something that I learned this year, actually in the last few months, which I was shocked because I never saw this anywhere in the newspaper, and I'd like a show of hands from anybody here who's heard of this before my mentioning it. Has anybody here heard of potential fertility problems with this vaccine? That's amazing, you guys. I did not know this myself until about maybe 2 months ago. So I had to look into it. And by the way, the America's Frontline Doctors put together 10 doctors working for more than a month to put together all this research. So there's a question if this vaccine, a biological agent, I should say, affects this thing called the syncytial trophoblast, which is a layer on the placenta. Now, it does seem to do that when you're sick with COVID-19. The problem is that these mRNA vaccines kind of mimic having COVID-19 indefinitely. So while COVID-19 could be bad for the placenta and the baby if you get it like in the middle of the pregnancy, eventually COVID-19 goes away and you go about your life and then you're good. There's a question if this type of experimental agent does that same negative effect to the syncytial trophoblast layer of the placenta, and it would do it indefinitely. This is not a conspiracy. As a scientist, I'm telling you, we don't know. We don't know. Scientists better than me, right? There's the 2 guys in Europe that were ex-Pfizer executives that complained about this and filed a petition with the European equivalent of the FDA saying you've got to not approve this as an emergency experimental vaccine because we haven't answered the question on the antibody-dependent enhancement and we haven't answered the question on the placenta. It hasn't been answered, that it's dangerous to release this. And you have to put that together with what is the risk of even having this problem. Certainly in younger women, right? Women under 50, the survival, we said, per the CDC, is 99.98%. For that reason, America's Frontline Doctors feels very strongly that you cannot even offer this to women of childbearing age. So, and we'll get to our official recommendations at the end. But we put that information under the category of what we don't know. We simply don't know. We don't know what the effect is permanently on the placenta. Another fact that is very concerning is that pharmaceuticals who manufacture these experimental biological agents are immune from all liability. So this group probably knows that, but I'm not saying that they have a negative motive. I think mostly they have a profit motive. I'm not saying they're trying to hurt people or kill people. What I am saying is that if you know that you could be sued and pay out millions of dollars every single time something goes wrong, you're really, really careful, okay? You're a little less careful if you know you're going to be shielded from that liability, and they're completely shielded. So when people ask me, am I going to take the vaccine? Would I recommend my children take the vaccine? I said it's really irrational to take a brand new, untested, untried technology from a company that's completely shielded from immunity. When on the other hand, I've got a drug that's 65 years old, has been given billions of times, completely safe for all age groups, right? Now, those are the safety concerns with this experimental biological agent. What are the concerns regarding the effectiveness? Now, what's super shocking is that there's no proof that this biological agent actually stops the transmission amongst people. I mean, it's like a joke, right? This is like a joke. It's like the punchline to a joke. Let's take a vaccine, and by the way, it doesn't actually stop transmission. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. Like, I discovered that quite recently, and I couldn't believe it. And that's, by the way, that's not in dispute now that I'm telling you that. The Surgeon General gave an interview 20 days ago, last 2 weeks and 6 days ago on a Monday, to Good Morning America, stating that, and it's been well documented now. It is not known if it stops transmission. I think what's going to happen, it's kind of putting people into sort of an asymptomatic carrier kind of state. In other words, people are turning positive. You might have started to see some news stories now, people taking the vaccine, and now they're testing positive for COVID-19. It's kind of funny. Like, are they going to test positive forever? Like, what does that mean? You know, they've been selling us this bill of goods that there's this asymptomatic transmission, and that seems to be moot. But if you're going to have, you know, tens or hundreds of millions running around, just kind of positive, low level, like, what does that mean? Like, why are we doing that? Another problem with doing that is I think they're going to game the numbers, right? All these people, let's say you give this vaccine to 100 million people, and now all 100 million people are quote-unquote testing positive for COVID-19. They're going to tell us that the cases have risen and, you know, we can never relax. Yeah. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. There's been no proof that this is actually reducing mortality. Certainly from the levels of non-lethality that we're seeing, it would be hard to demonstrate that there's any real advantage, right? The odds of dying from this illness are already incredibly low. The third question about its effectiveness, we simply don't know, even if it was effective and not dangerous, we don't know how long it lasts. In other words, are you going to be asked to take this vaccine once in a lifetime, or are you going to be asked to take this vaccine yearly like influenza? We don't know. Those questions are not answered. So I want to also, I keep referencing the fact that we need to call this by its proper name. Never talk about this without the word experimental. That's critical. One of the problems that we doctors are concerned about this antibody-dependent enhancement potential, which again, I'm not saying it exists or it doesn't exist, I'm saying it hasn't been answered, is if you're going to run around and give this vaccine to a whole bunch of healthy people, you have to be really, really sure. Taking a vaccine is very different than taking a drug for a disease. If you have a disease, you're certainly willing to take on more risk, right, to get rid of the disease. But vaccines are typically given to healthy people. Now, what's going to happen if you give this vaccine to 100 million people that are otherwise healthy, and they do have this antibody-dependent enhancement reaction because we haven't ruled it out. They do get exposed to the virus in the wild, and 30% of them drop. And what if, for example, you've given that vaccine to all of your healthcare workers, and you've given that vaccine to all of your military and all of your police officers? I find this shocking as a public policy matter that we would even consider giving anything to our healthy first responders and frontline people who defend our country. It's so shocking in its risk. You see me, I'm struggling for the words. It's so shocking to accept that kind of risk. And again, I want to be not misquoted. I'm not saying this is definitely going to happen, but I'm saying based on prior SARS coronavirus vaccines, there is a definite concern for antibody-dependent enhancement. This particular virus has very low lethality. Should you give it to healthy people, not knowing the answer to that question is far too risky, in my opinion, from a national security perspective.